Have you ever had a hard time saying no? I have. And in this video, you're hanging out with Popsy Guy, and I'm glad you're here. What we're going to talk about today is that it's okay to say no. I'm going to give you 5 concrete tips on how to say no without offending somebody. So stay tuned. I hope you enjoy this video. It's something that has been on my mind for a bit. You might be a people pleaser, and I know some people pleasers in my life, and they have a hard time saying no. And if you're over 60 and you're retired, you might find yourself in a position where you can't believe you ever had enough time to actually go to work because you're so busy. Well, it may just be because you have a hard time saying no. Now, I don't mean, gentlemen, when your wife says, here's the honey-do list, you need to get it done. No is not even in your vocabulary when it comes to that. But it could be other obligations or invitations that you receive that feel like obligations. And it could be that you don't want to say no because you don't want to offend the person. Or you don't want to say no because you feel as though maybe if you keep saying no, you won't be invited anymore. Or it may be that you're not saying no because you don't know how to. And as easy as that sounds, it's an important skill. And it's a skill that you can learn even later in life, because you're going to need to know how to do that as time passes on. And I've got some things I want to share with you, some notes that I've taken and written down. And would love to be able to pull out these notes and read from them. Not something I usually do, but I thought they were important enough to share with you, so that maybe at the end of this video, stick around, because I will give you, as I said, 5 concrete tips on what to say so that you're not in a position where you feel like you've offended somebody or that you've just blown your chance to be invited again. So here are 5 key reasons why you should learn to say no. And if you're over 60 like me, you can't read without your glasses. When did that happen for you? I can tell you when it happened for me. I mean, not being able to read with my glasses. I was, and still am, not as much as I used to be, an avid reader. And I would read right before falling asleep. And I remember one night, I was probably in my mid-40s, I'm laying in bed, and I'm looking at the book, and I realize I can't see the words anymore. And then all of a sudden it dawned on me, these words are smaller than they were last night. But the real kicker came. I was on a business trip and I was checking into a hotel, and they had very low lighting at the registration desk. And this is back in the day where they hand you a card and you're supposed to fill it out. I couldn't see the printing on the card. So I'm writing down things. I wasn't even sure if they were on the right line or not, but that's when it happened to me. I had to go get the cheaters, the readers, and this is what we've got. Let me know if that's ever happened to you. I don't think I'm the only one. All right, so here are 5 reasons that I wrote down why it's okay to say no. And the first one, I think is pretty obvious, is that our time is really precious and it's limited, right? Everyone who is alive today is not guaranteed the next hour, the next day, month, year, what have you. But there's 168 hours in a week. And how you choose to spend those hours is completely up to you. So it's okay to realize that you don't have all the time in the world left. So the times that you do say yes should be times that make you happy, number one, make you feel fulfilled. And it may be that you're spending time with people you really enjoy. And that could be, by the way, just you. It's okay to spend time with just you. I know that a lot of folks who are much, much younger than I enjoy spending time with their number one fan, which is themselves. And that's okay for us to do, even at this advanced age. Oh, drop my notes. Okay. So, first one is, your time is precious. It's limited. Now, the second one that I wrote down is, saying no respects your own needs. And what I wrote is, after years of saying yes to others, it's kind of empowering to recognize that your needs deserve attention too. And I thought that was something that hit me, is that if you are a parent or have raised a family, you know that you spent most of your adult lives catering to somebody else. And that's okay, that's the way it's supposed to be. But now it seems a little selfish to turn it around and want to cater to your own needs. But that's okay, it's a good thing, because it goes into the third one, which is it sets boundaries. I have to share this story with you. I never really understood what setting boundaries meant until my daughter got married and had kids and we became grandparents. And I mentioned in a recent video what it's like to be a grandparent if you're one. You just want to spend as much time with those kids as you possibly can. And, you know, that's all well and good, but they have parents. Just like you were a parent to your children are now parents to their children. And so my daughter said we need to set boundaries. And she meant it in such a loving way. But I had never heard that before. I mean, what do you mean set boundaries? You don't want Popsy Guy hanging out with your kids? And that's not what she meant at all. What she meant was expectations. Not just for her and her husband and me and my wife, but for the kids as well. So saying no will also help you set boundaries. Again, something that I was taught by my daughter. Number 4, what did I write down here? Let's see. Oh, this one kind of came to me, and what I wrote down was most people understand more than you think they do, right? Because they're not in your head, they're not having the conversation that you're having in your mind. You think that they can't possibly understand what your reasons would be to say no. Well, they get it. They absolutely get it, because they're just like you. So understand that it's okay to say no, and people will understand, even though you're not sure they understand. They do understand. Okay. Another one of Popsy Guy's pieces of wisdom. I typed it all out nice and neat so I could read it. Oh, yes. This one was kind of an outlier for me, but it's something that kind of came to mind watching a few YouTube videos for people over the age of 60 and limited time and resources and whatnot. We need time to do the things that we love. Now, that could mean different things to different people. Well, that doesn't. It absolutely means different things to different people. I used to love to play ice hockey. I played ice hockey over the span of, I think it was 6 decades. The 60s, 70s, 80s, that's 3. 90s, 2000s, that's 5. 2010, 2020s. 7 decades I was involved in playing ice hockey. I just hung them up at age 60, just 2 years ago, but something I absolutely loved. And I made time for it. And now I'm a little bit older, I don't play anymore. Love to play a little bit more golf, but you know, if I go out and hit a bucket of balls and chip a little bit, that could be just enough. But for you, it may be just reading, it may be gardening, maybe fishing. Where I live right now, fishing is an absolute hobby for most retired folks. You know, I have a saying. My saying is, I don't want to own a boat. I want to own a friend who has a boat. And if I don't like my friend's boat, I'll find a new friend. It's true, you should try it if you don't own a boat. But reserve that time for the things that you love to do. And it goes back to number 4, which is people will understand more than you think they will understand. And they'll probably respect you more than you can imagine if you do say no, because you want to be able to carve that time out for yourself for any of the reasons we just talked about. And it could be just that pure alone time. So I hope this is making sense. There are some folks out there that are, as I said, I know some people pleasers. It's very hard for them to say no. And, you know, there's good and bad in that. The good is that they're always there for people when people ask. But the bad is they're always there for people when people ask. And it almost becomes an obligation. And you don't want it to become an obligation. You want it to be something that you enjoy doing and they enjoy having you around. I'm just turning this around because I don't want you to be in the sun. I need to get my spectacles back on. And then I'm going to, as I promised, give you the 5 ways, 5 tips, concrete tips. And I stole this off the internet. This is not Potsy Guy. If I can only open the page with one hand and not drop the camera, I can do it. I can, honest. All right. These are awesome. These are actually really, really good concrete ways in which you can actually say no without offending somebody. I think it's pretty cool. And the first one is called the scheduled excuse. Now, what does that mean? It means that, write this down because this is really good. When I read this, I thought this was really good. Somebody asks you to do something, but you're not really in a position to do it. You say to them, you know, I really appreciate the invite, but my calendar is feeling a bit tight right now, and I think I'm going to sit this one out. I hope you all have a great time. You know, that could be for a social activity that you're not really interested in. It could be an activity where you know that the group of folks that'll be there are just not your cup of tea, and you really don't want to spend time with them. Use the calendar excuse. And why it works? It blames the schedule and not the person, which I think is awesome. You know, I'd love to go. Man, I would absolutely love to go, but my calendar just won't allow it. Oh, that stupid calendar. Another one is the honest but gentle approach. And you say something along the lines of, you know, that sounds lovely, but I'm trying to take things a bit slower these days. What if I catch up with you another time? But thank you very much for inviting me. I think that's an awesome one, right? Because you're leaving the door open. You're not saying, no, I don't want to hang out with you and your stupid friends and go to your stupid event, even though that's probably what you're thinking. It's gentle and it leaves the door open for another event. Then this one is called the deflection with positivity. Oh, this is a good one. Oh, you're so sweet to invite me, but I'm not up for that right now, but I'd love to hear all about it. Once you guys come back, fill me in. I think that's pretty cool too, because what it does is it allows you to say no to an event that you probably wouldn't want to go to on your own, but your friends are thinking, boy, this would be something so-and-so would love. They'd love to be here, but secretly you're really not that excited about it. So they get to go, sit through it, and then come back and tell you all about it. And the last one is actually probably ties into some of the other things we're talking about protecting your own personal space. It's called the self-care method. I'm hoping a lot of us have got this one pretty much in the bag, because going back to people understand a lot more than you think they do. You can come right out and say, you know what? I'm scheduled for a little me time. Been doing a lot with the grandkids. I've been doing a lot with the family. Right now, I think I just need a little bit of quiet time on my own, and then to recharge so that we can hang out later. How's that sound? Of each of these that you wrote down, I added a couple of different things. And in sales, it's called the tie down. If any of you have ever been in sales training before, you'd recognize it. It's ending the sentence with a positive statement that generates agreement, right? So if you say something along the lines, man, I'd love to be with you, but I've really carved this time out for myself, and I really need it to recharge. But I want to hear all about it, okay? How's that sound? What are they going to say? No, it doesn't sound good. No, I never want to talk to you again. I can't believe you don't want to come with me. In your mind, you're probably thinking those things, but in reality, that's not the way it's going to be. So I hope this was somewhat helpful. Again, it's just something that's been on my mind because third time I've said it, but I know a couple of people pleasers, and I know they get anxious because they don't feel in control of their own schedule, and they're not really good at saying no. And sometimes they'll say no in such a way that it comes off very insincere or sounds like a downright lie, when they don't mean to. They absolutely don't mean to offend anybody. It's just, if they had some of these tips that you and I just walked through, it makes it a little bit easier. And so if you've got some experiences that you've had in saying no, or in difficulty in saying no, share them with the community. I think we'd all love to hear it. The ones that I pulled off, I didn't make those up. The only thing I added was the tie down at the end. which I think is important only because it gets the other person agreeing. Yeah, that sounds right. Because you know what? And I think you already know this. The person probably thinking the same thing, saying, I don't really want to go to this event either. I was hoping to do it with you to make it a little less painful. But you had the guts to say no. Can you teach me that? And then you say, well, I'll tell you what. You dial up Hanging Out with Popsy Guy and you check out this video. He'll teach you how to say no, just like I said no to you. Anyway, I just wanted to hang out with you and share that with you and hear some of the things that you've got to share with me and the others in the community, because I think it's important. Especially it's important for us to guard our time right now, because there's not much left of it. We all joke about how many days are behind us versus how many days are ahead of us. And when we're honest, we know that the number of days ahead of us are so few in comparison to the ones that are behind us. Unless, of course, you're 328 years old and collecting Social Security, but that's a different story. All right, well, listen, you guys have an awesome weekend. Don't forget to drop me a note. Let me know what you think. If you've got some ideas on some topics you'd love me to cover, please do that. Love every one of the comments. Love the fact that we're growing in our community. In another couple of weeks, as I promised, I'll give you an update on my 2-month anniversary as a YouTube creator. Share with you the numbers and what's happening. And some of the frustrations and the challenges of being a YouTube creator, but the absolute joy in being able to spend time with you, talk with you about these things, and really selfishly get to walk around this beautiful property. Next week, we'll be back at the beach. It's been a little chilly for the beach, a little windy, so I'm just walking around the property that we live right now. All right, like I said, goodbye, God bless, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.